Hello, this is the Inspiring Minds with Blissful Botanicals, where we holistically seek the truth in life using our entrepreneurial spirit. I'm your host, JR Knopp. Hey, everyone. I'm here with Myra. She is an interesting, she's got a Reiki Healing Center, if I'm saying it right.
That's right.
Myra, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you got going on, what you do.
Well, I guess I'll start and do the whole picture. Started
Sure.
in the 1970s as a student of weaving, a fiber major. I weave tapestries, hand-woven tapestries. I've done that. I exhibit them, museums, galleries, all kinds of things.
So are those like kind of quilts or just like big, just big picture
4 by
type?
5 foot, $10,000
Okay.
hand-woven.
Okay. That's kind of what I was wondering. I know there's some expensive ones out there. So,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Kind of lets me know what you're getting into. Is that more of like a hobby or do you actually sell those on the side?
Well, that was my business for 25 years. And I guess one of the things I like to talk about at this point is I became disabled and I couldn't sell the tapestries because I was only allowed to make $500 a month to keep my health plan. And
Okay.
this is a reminder in these times where our health plans are sort of being taken away.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, uh, but to keep, because then there were pre-existing conditions. So I went back to school at Bryn Mawr College with a partial grant from the Office of Vocational Rehab, and I studied city planning. I worked for a number of years doing Habitat for Humanity and Section 8 building inspections, assistant director of municipal planning, and I wrote grants for dignity housing. And then my conditions got worse, and I ended up opening the Reiki Healing Center because while I was a student, I received Reiki, and it really helped me. And so I opened the Reiki Healing Center. But back when I was weaving, I joined a group with Mr. Nyland, who taught the teachings of George Ivanovich Gurdjieff, who was a spiritual leader. Sometimes they refer to him as the fourth way because he combined the way of the fakir, the monk, and the yogi. And so, yeah, we do a lot of physical things. My 21st birthday, I helped build a stone wall by going around and finding fieldstone and cementing them together, and then we put a greenhouse up on top of it that we had taken apart and reassembled. So we do physical work. We do Gurdjieff has physical spiritual dance, and that called movements, and I do those. I'm 74. We did 18 hours in a weekend last month. It's
So I guess let's dive into that a little bit. You said it combines you said it's the fourth way. Can you kind of explain what the other ways are and kind of let the whole audience kind of know what that's talking about to lead up to what you said it was Gurdjieff?
George Ivanovich Gurdjieff. Yeah, he died in
Gurdjieff.
like
Okay.
1949.
Okay.
He had a group. He wrote 3 books. One is All and Everything: Beelzebub's Tales to His Grandson, an impartial criticism of the life of man. And it's sort of like a history of the world, but it's like not this is what you must believe, but this is to make you think and like kind of break the pattern of thinking and then be able to move into something else. So he combined the way of the fakir, which is the people that sit on nails and do different things like that, and
Okay.
kind of work with their bodies. The people that meditate by walking around by one arm up all the time.
Or it's kind of like a physical meditation to connect the mind and body in a sense to overcome, from my understanding, like sitting on the nails and stuff to do like mind over matter type situations. If I'm understanding that right.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that, but I got a little note from Riverside that I was trying to follow. And you were very fuzzy in the picture, so I wanted to do what
Oh.
I asked. But so we do things very physically. But we do the things in our daily life: walking, washing dishes, brushing our teeth, getting dressed, just facial expression, things like that, that we kind of work with in order to create something higher sees us when we do that. And we have a process, a method that we use that is very helpful. It also, combines the way of the monk, which would be meditation and things like that. And are you still here? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're coming in great. You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Good.
keep going.
Sorry about that. But so we do some different exercises to kind of get our minds and our feelings and our bodies very quiet, and we do some things to intensify things within our bodies, and and we do this process of creating this higher being body, which uses our mind. So it's more like the yoga that use their mind. So it's a combination. It's Gurdjieff's
So I
second
take
book was called Meetings with Remarkable Men, where they went across the desert, and they did things like use stilts to get above the sandstorms, and they had a lot of interesting people were in his group and still are.
Interesting.
Yeah. But that was my spiritual background. So that was sort of combined with, I had wanted to be an architect and I wanted to be a priest. And in the 70s, those paths were very hard for a woman to get into. So, so I wove tapestries. The architect said, well, I could design them, create them, and I could take them to my client, and I could interact with my client. We hired an architect who, her name is not on the building she made, and she never got to meet her clients. She worked for a company. So, I can feel for her, and I understand that. So when I opened the Reiki Healing Center, it was open with a matching grant from the Office of Vocational Rehab. And I used it to help with my healing. I used it to help others do some healing. And I had my Gurdjieff meetings at my office, and people came, and I still have people come for Gurdjieff meetings in my office, but I also am a co-moderator for a meeting that's international. We have people from Serbia and Armenia and England and Germany and Italy and all across the U.S., some people in Canada, some people in South America, Pakistan. So it's an international group, and Gurdjieff had composed 250 pieces of music with Thomas de Hartmann, and the music for the movements that we do. So that's part of what touches the heart, is that music that Gurdjieff created for us. And Mr. Nyland also used to do improvs on the piano. We just celebrated 50 years since he died. And our group is a strong group of people, and we're inviting people to come learn about Gurdjieff and his ideas, and join us in that. And I teach Reiki classes, so I have people come to learn how to do Reiki, which started in Japan and is sort of an entryway into alternative practices, because it's something that I'd say 99% of the people who get attuned to it can do something with it, and it's beneficial for themselves and those around them. And I teach.
How would you describe Reiki healing to the lame person that doesn't quite understand it? Like, I have a pretty decent knowledge of it, and I'm still kind of
Yeah.
learning a lot about it. But for
Mm-hmm.
the average person that may have never even heard about it, what would you say it entails, or how does it work?
It's when the person receives the attunement. It's Usui himself went up on a mountain and did a meditation for 21 days, and a great light came in him. And that's when I attune my students, that light goes in them. And some people have naturally warm hands, but one of the things that happens is that people's hands heat up. I was very ill when I had my attunement, so it took me 3 years before my hands heated up. But
Wow.
but it's like it's very comforting. You don't have to put hands on somebody, but if you do, or you can have your hands 2 feet off of somebody and they'll feel them. But there are some people who aren't attuned to Reiki who you can feel their energy because they have a good strong energy. And so it's like that. There's things that you can feel. We're just not taught to feel them. So it helps enhance your sensitivity, and you can feel that there's a difficulty on the person or around the person, and you can, with the Reiki, there's ways to remove it, and you can work remotely. I can send the Reiki around the world. I joke that I'm like Superwoman going through walls and things because the energy goes places. But it's always amazing. I had one student who, it's like silly stuff, but kind of fun. But I had a student who had a twin that lived on the other side of the country, and whenever she would do the healing for her sister would get like her face would turn really red while she was doing it, and then when she would stop, it would go away again. So they were connected, and we are all connected to each other, whether we know it or not. There's a little Zen thing where a monk comes out because there's all this noise in the pumpkin patch, and he tells them all to put their hands on their head, and they all have this little stem coming out, and he says, you're all connected. Whatever you do that's helpful helps everyone, and whatever you do that's not helpful hurts everyone. And that's how it is in life, and with spirituality and the Reiki, and I also, it's you are connected to everyone, and what you do really matters, and how you can help others really matters. It's good to do. That's one of the things that it's like, is that connection. And the other is that it's really comforting for people to have hands-on, or to know you're thinking of them, or you're sending them energy, and that you care for them. I guess it teaches a lot of that. I do a lot of Qigong, little exercises in my Reiki classes, because the lineage I teach goes straight back to Yusui Mikao. I'm like the 5th person on the list or something like that. So when I learned earlier it was a Western one, I was like 14 people in the list or something, So it's nice to have the actual Japanese practices to work with, because they think differently about the body and energy and interconnectedness of people. And I like that. And I don't know. Most people experiencing it is the best way to know what it is. But you can rub your hands together, and then you can squeeze them, and then you can see if there's some resistance between your hands, and that resistance is your life force, and it's all around you. So you're not just inside your skin, you're outside your skin too. And that's why many healers, energy healers, they'll feel outside your body. And so there's things that are sort of coming at you from the world, and you let your friends and your family in that space. But if things that are harmful for you sort of get into that space, it affects your whole body, and then you can get ill from dealing with the stresses and the trials of this world that come from outside you, and they interact with you and affect you. You can also not give yourself some support, and that'll also influence your energy field and make it difficult for you to stay healthy and be able to do things. So a spiritual practice is always really valuable in life, to really
Yeah, definitely.
be part of something bigger than what we are, and that we, you know, that, that it's useful for us to be helpful for each other.
100%. I would, so I guess from my understanding, to make sure I got this right, in essence, we are all from one and we're all connected through however anybody wants to put it, God, energies, whatnot. But my understanding of Reiki is you being able to feel where the energy is off in people and then help them come to terms to balance that energy or harmonize that energy to a more positive mantra versus going down a negative path, because that could be shared through without. And from my understanding, it's all of one means we are all connected one way or another. You might not believe it, you might not understand it, but we all feel what's going on in this world. And some people are very sensitive to it, some are not. Some thinks it's woo woo, like, oh, you guys are just out of your goddamn mind, you guys are just crazy, like, come on, get out. But yet modern medicine's only really been around for about 150 years. Before that, you would have shamans or community leaders or doctors of that sense that wouldn't look at, here, let me get a bunch of blood tests and do all this stuff to you. No, they would sit down with you, have a conversation, feel your energy, and understand, like, hey, this is kind of off in this area, and here's ways to fix it. And some are, so I've heard, so pronounced in Reiki that they can actually change your, like what you were saying with the twins, from across the country, they can feel that energetic vibration and change, because thought controls so much more than we actually honestly can admit to or realize. And just sending good thoughts and good energy to people really makes a difference. And I truly believe that. I think we are all connected, and the more people can look within to try to heal themselves would be better off than trying to fix the whole world, in a sense. Because if you fix energy within, that radiates to the rest of the world to help it fix itself. Is that kind of half right on my understanding, or what's your thoughts?
And yeah, that's a good description of it. It's how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then this other leader, how did that kind of play into this? I mean, it sounds like he's kind of taking certain movements and sounds and saying, is there like certain patterns you guys got to do or certain dances that
Yeah,
have different outcomes, or how does that work?
well, you could look up there. There's a lot of videos now. Not all of the dances are done correctly on the videos, though. We're carefully taught how to do them correctly. They have messages in them. Um, the Gurdjieff invented a lot of words. One of them was Luganomenisms, which are truths that are stored in art and dance and all different kinds of different music
Sure.
things. And so we do make use of different postures that and gestures, and we multiply with our bodies. We do all kinds of things. It's a really nice thing to do. It's not so much for looking at, though looking at them can be pretty amazing, but they're not designed for performance. They're designed for our own personal. It's sort of like a moving meditation
Okay.
where you
Yeah.
seem to have to.
Yeah. Kind of like Qigong and some of those that are, purposeful movements and certain patterns to help out. So is it kind of more kind of like, when my initial thought is thinking about it is like going back to like Native American tribes and stuff that would have powwows, that would sit around and do certain ceremonial dances. Is similar to that, or is it more kind of like personal, like here you can kind of do these movements yourself
No,
versus just kind of
they're
being
they're meant to be done in like a group of 40 people. And
okay.
we're all in lines and rows, and we all have to be at a certain place at a certain time. It's all mathematical and
Okay.
very, very exciting to participate.
So is
And you're trying to be 100% present. So, I mean, you think of something else and you're not doing, the spot
Sure.
should be. So it's that is one aspect of Gurdjieff's work. The other is building something spiritual that can be objective to you, which is an interesting kind of concept. And the other is, just how to use our physical bodies in ordinary life instead of like we do have meetings. We have lots of meetings. I lead lots of meetings. I go to lots of meetings. But our main focus is on what we do throughout the day. How we bring spirituality into washing a dish or opening a door, or very, very simple, basic things. And there's something different that happens with us with that. And the language has a very particular meaning for things that we say. So it has, and I got into Reiki partly because Gurdjieff himself also did some remote healing. He
Okay.
lived in Paris and he was healing. Actually, they're called the Women of the Rope. There were a group of women in New York who he was sending healing to, and I found that very interesting. And he spent time healing his wife of cancer, but then he was in a really terrible car accident, and so that had to come to an end. He couldn't do it because of his own condition at that time, and how sad that was for him. But that we do these things, and there are many times where it's not in our control what we can do. We might be able to do a healing, but we might not be able to do it for someone else, depending on what their life circumstances is and the times. And so when I do healing, I don't consider I'm the healer. I'm pulling the healing energy through me and giving it to the person, and then they can do what they can do with it, with my support. It's
Okay.
yeah.
So you said there was like a lot of mathematics. That's kind of interesting. How does that play into? I know like music and frequencies are very different. How does that play into what you guys are talking about? Do you guys do like certain numbers of steps, or how does that work?
Well, there's an image that we use. It's a triangle that has five points on it. It goes 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, 7,
Okay.
and
Okay.
we'll dance out that number.
Okay. So kind of like a pentagon in a sense, or what they call the Jovian man, where you have the basically 5 points. You got the head, the two arms, and the legs type situation. Okay.
It's called the Enneagram, so we make use of the mathematics
Okay.
Enneagram. There are some other people do personality types with the Enneagram, but that's
Mm-hmm.
not Gurdjieff. That isn't what Gurdjieff did with the
I was
Enneagram.
gonna say because I've heard the Enneagram for discerning different types, especially in like the business world, and as a business owner, a lot of things that I've had it displayed to me is like, here, have your employees, and you take an Enneagram, and you kind of get a better idea of their type of personality and how to deal with them or what best motivates them. But yeah, I've never heard it in a sense what you were talking about. That's okay.
Yeah, it's
Very
a
similar then.
different but the application that Gurdjieff came up with, and then it's been taken. But he did funny things. He told people they were different types of idiots, and so maybe the personalities came out of his telling people they were different types of idiots, and he would drink to all the idiots, but he was it was a very, very unusual kind of person, and his take on things is really unusual and really very, really special. And I was very young. I was maybe 18, 19 when I first went to a meeting with Mr. Nyland up in Manhattan. I went into a L-shaped apartment with 70 people, and apparently there were people waiting out in the hallway to hear Mr. Nyland. He was in his 80s, and I sat down on the floor, and I still remember he was like connecting fairy tales with architecture, with everything in the world, and it was as if he was building a building right in front of me with ideas and putting them together in ways I hadn't heard before. And
Do you remember kind of one of those fairy tales to architect type ideas that you can maybe share? Because that sounds interesting.
Well, a lot of the spirituality is like the Sleeping Beauty.
Hmm.
Something's going to come and kiss the Sleeping Beauty and wake her out of her sleep. And so Gurdjieff did use that idea that we're all totally asleep, totally unconscious, totally can't really do anything, and we think that we're so great and powerful. But the other day I was just walking, and I said to the person I was with, I said, I don't remember anything from that last block. Like maybe we should go around again. What was there? Because we're caught. Our thoughts and our feelings are controlling our bodies, and we're totally unconscious. And we expect other people to know what they're doing, and you learn that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and there's been said a couple different ways, but yeah, a lot of people attribute malice to incompetence, and they don't realize like a lot of people are really not like they're just stuck in their own ways and their own reality. And I know exactly what you're talking about. There's times where I get so lost in thought that I can walk 6 blocks or a mile and go, what just happened? How am I over here? What, I thought I was, what? Okay. Yeah. I was such in deep thought. And yeah. And people, eh, they got to look more inward than try to blame what's going on the rest of the world. It's like, what's controlling your thoughts? Do you view this world as hell and just horrible and everything's bad, or do you view it as heaven and opportunity and ways to get better? I think that's kind of, in essence, that's within all of us. Whether you do you want to live in heaven or hell, I think that resides to what do you view the world as. Do you view it as poor me, or do you view it as, hey, is the challenge to overcome and I can become the knight of my own story type situation, in my opinion. uh this Gurdjieff character he sounded very interesting. Where was he from, or what did where did he come out of?
He
Where
came
did he get
out
all
of
this knowledge?
Georgia. He came out of Georgia and between Turkey and Russia.
Okay.
So that was where the intelligentsia of Russia lived. It was a very educated. His father was a minister and a storyteller, so he learned a lot of things through um, verbal, recanting of stories. And he went into the East and went in search of the foundations of the information, the stories that his father told, and to go and see for himself. And that was partly why that group went out into the desert on camels and with sheep and stuff. And just in search. They went to monasteries. They went to different places. We're pretty sure he went to Tibet, and so some of the things come out of the Tibetan Buddhism. Different things happen, and um, he has a lot. He talks about the great spiritual leaders who came in, and kind of how things got kind of askew. And um, he has a character from Turkey, Mullah Nassereddin, who tells really funny stories, who kind of it's a lighter, for me it's a lighter kind of spirituality where there's a lot of heart in it, and a lot being open to different cultures, different times, different kinds of experiences. And he
So what time period was he living? You said he died in what, the 40s? So was it like late
around
1800s?
49, 49. But he was in World War One in Russia, and
Okay.
kind of, and went
Went
through.
through a lot of hardship and stuff, and seeing the world through a different lens at that point in time. And then it sounds like he kind of went on like a spiritual journey in a sense. And I get what you're saying. It sounds like he was more on the levity side of things versus like the serious side. Like, hey, let's not so serious. Like, here, let's have some fun. Let's dissect these important things. with a little bit of a heart versus a serious kind of like needs to adhere type of tone. Am I getting that kind of right or?
For me, that's what I see of him.
Okay.
He had a, can you say, he had people do, he had, in Paris, he had a place called Fontainebleau where he had very wealthy people coming and digging holes and doing things that they wouldn't have done in their wealthy life.
I got you. Add some humbleness or humility to him, like, hey, get your hands dirty.
But it was like these were things that you did because doing physical work helps you get in touch with other parts of yourself that you don't you
Yeah.
don't ordinarily see, and there was not a thing really about you. At some point you play a role or you try to kind of shake things up by doing things differently, but a lot of it is to begin to see what you actually are. And if you can see how you actually are with no criticism, just see it totally impartially in a moment, you get the truth. And when you can see the truth, whether it's pretty or ugly or whatever, but see it without any criticism whatsoever, and that's what the faculty we create does, then you really learn something about life and yourself. And
So is that kind of what your guys' meetings are kind of like? You said you guys do a lot of meetings. Is it more exploring that type of
yeah, we
avenue of it?
talk about how we apply the ideas. We have some meetings where we talk about all and everything, and how it represents the spiritual in us. The first time you read it, Gurdjieff says to read it. It's a thick book. Is to read it as if you're reading the newspaper. Even though you're reading it like the newspaper, you just kind of go through it. Things stick with you, and then the second reading, you read it as if you're reading it out loud to someone, or maybe read it out loud to yourself. And then the third time, then he says, maybe now you start to think about it. So like I've read it 16 times and I'm still like, we're still,
Okay.
layers are in there. And we have a whole group of us, that are kind of studying it together. And it's interesting. It's a very interesting book. Um, that's part of the practice.
So where could people find this book, or where is this usually sold at, or how do people kind of find this path?
Well, I have 3 copies that I can
Okay.
sell in Media PA, and by the way, Books sells them, and you can find them different places. Uh,
So it's at most bookstores, or
I
if there
don't
are
know
still
whether
bookstores.
there are bookstores anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm sure they can find it if they did some type of
It is
Amazon.
online. There are recordings. There's a really beautiful recording of a British man reading All and Everything. There are recordings of All and Everything, but it's the 1950 version that Gurdjieff authorized. And some groups kind of made an updated version, and it's not, you don't get the same vibration sort of from it when you read it. It's a little changed. And the the Manhattan Library has a whole section of Gurdjieff. Duska Harwith donated her collection, her family collection to there, and there are different copies, different versions as the book was written available. But to start with, the 1950 version is the best. And it was originally sold. It was during the days when you had to cut the pages. The pages were like connected at the top of
Really?
the pages, and you had to take a knife and cut open pages. So he sold the book with the first chapter with the pages cut open, so you could return the book if you decided you didn't want to keep reading it.
Oh, wow,
And
that's
it's the same with
interesting.
me. If I sell you a copy, you can bring it back if you say, "Hey."
Okay.
You know.
So, do you got like a website, or how could people get a hold of you if they want to find out like some more information on this or join the meetings or groups?
Right. The Mr. Nyland's group is nyland.org. my website is www.reiki, R-E-I-K-I, healing, Healing, center, center.org. If you want to see my weavings, you go to Myra, Reichel, REICHEL.com, and you can see some of my tapestries. I'm currently working on a series that's not up there. It's the causes and the results of homelessness, which was
Okay.
out of my days of working for Dignity Housing, the Committee for Dignity and Fairness for the Homeless in Mount Airy, Pennsylvania, outside Philly. And
Okay, that was going to be my next question is where are you based out of? Where you been doing a lot of this work? So you're just outside of Philadelphia?
right, Media is about 15 minutes from the Philadelphia airport.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, you can call me 610-348-5698. I teach classes by appointment or to groups. I have the Gurdjieff meetings. I have a Gurdjieff meeting the first Sunday of every month at noon. Right now, I keep trying different times. Different people can come different times. On Meetup, I have a meetup for Gurdjieff and
Have you
Philadelphia.
been having much success with all that? Or you have many people in these meetings or still kind of growing?
Well, we have a new person in Armenia, a new person in Serbia. We have a new people in New York and New Jersey, and right here around
Nice.
our area where I am. We have meetings in New York, Warwick, New York, and out in near Occidental in California, and in Texas and New Mexico, and the movements I just did were in Texas. So we travel around. We have a group in Boston, Atlanta.
Wow.
So I'm co-moderating some meetings for new people for the East Coast and for Europe
Okay.
because we can do a meeting at 1 and the people in Europe and Asia can come.
Okay.
So that's a lot of fun. We just an hour and a half at the most. There's a 7 o'clock meeting in New York. Most of the meetings these days are over Zoom. I'm trying to do some hybrid meetings. So I have a meeting on that Gurdjieff meeting at noon on the first Sunday of the month. And then I have a Reiki share from 2 to 4 for people who do Reiki. And people are
Okay.
and and then we have, Thursday or Monday or Friday, we have meetings that are open to new people to, come and learn about Gurdjieff and how to apply work. And then we have other meetings, other nights.
Okay.
It's pretty lively.
Okay. And all this is on like your website and they can find information if people go looking?
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, Myra, I've had a great time. I've learned a lot here. I did not even know about Gurdjieff. I'm going to look them up further, and I'm curious to see what your tapestries look like. I have a feeling they're going to be very complex and beautiful. So I will definitely look those up. I appreciate you coming on the podcast and kind of telling us your story, and hopefully people find benefit out of this, or at least go and look it up and see if they can learn something new and be open to it, because it definitely sounds very interesting and could have a lot of implication in the real world.
I hope so. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Well, you have a good one.
Yeah,
Thanks for,
you too. Yeah, thanks for inviting
yeah.
me and.
Okay. Awesome. Well, you have a good one.
And you'll let me know
Everybody,
how
we'll
I
see
get
you
to
again next
next time.
time. This has been The Inspiring Minds with Blissful Botanicals. I hope you enjoyed this episode. To find any of our great products, log on to blissfulbotanicals.shop and hope to see you again soon. Eyes open, no fear. I'm your host, JR Knopp.